With just a smartphone, a mic, and a message, you can create something truly meaningful to share with the world. Learning to grow on YouTube is one of the most challenging yet rewarding things that you can do, and if I had to start over completely from scratch, here's exactly how I would do it: smarter, faster, and with way less guesswork. I'm going to break this video into 3 main sections: mindset, strategy, and tools. And if you're not quite a full-time creator yourself, or if you're getting started but you feel like you're starting late, even better, this video is made for you. Part 1, mindset. If you want to grow on YouTube, the biggest investment you can make isn't into some new fancy camera or some smart strategy or even a secret algorithm hack. It's in your mindset. And if I were starting over completely from scratch, the first thing I would do is convince myself that I can actually do this, because the one thing that holds the most people back isn't the time, the talent, or the technology. It's limiting beliefs and fear. And if you're out there thinking, man, I'm just not cut out for this, or why is everyone so much better on camera than me? Well, the good news is you are in great company, because we all think that, including myself. But here's the truth. Everybody on YouTube starts out not so great. All of the creators that you admire, they once started out completely awkward on camera, frustrated in their edit, and even unsure of what to say. The only difference is that they believed it was possible for them, and they stuck around long enough to prove it. So if I could go back, I wouldn't waste a second trying to be a natural on camera or trying to get everything perfect on the first try. I would remind myself that all of the skills that I'm about to need, from scripting to filming to editing, thumbnails, camera, all of that stuff is 100% learnable, and it has to be learned through doing. Now, it certainly won't happen overnight, and it definitely won't be easy, but it will happen as long as you show up and keep going. The second thing I would do is upgrade what I'm consuming. Early on, I spent way too much time following YouTube gurus and secret tips and hacks that I thought were gonna blow up my channel. But really, it just left me confused, overwhelmed, and with no idea how to implement. What I really needed was better inputs. Books like Atomic Habits, Deep Work, and The One Thing. These are all books that have given me the clarity that I've been missing over the last 9 months. Tiny, consistent actions that build over time, deep, focused, intentional work without multitasking, and actually doing less but better. These were all the key concepts I gleaned from those books that have helped inform my future strategy on my YouTube channel. I would read one, try to apply what I'm learning, and then move on to the next one, because when your thinking improves, so does your content. Third, I would stop taking everything so personally. When a video flops, it's all too easy for your brain to remind you just how bad you are at YouTube. And when someone unsubscribes for your channel, you might be sitting there wondering what the heck you're even doing wrong. Ask me how I know. But here's the truth. None of it is personal. It's all just data. Views, likes, comments. It's feedback on your content, not you as a person, and not on your self-worth. It is all too easy to get tangled up in the numbers and to let your mood be affected by your performance. But here's what I would do early on. I wouldn't even download the YouTube Studio app on my phone. I wouldn't be checking the analytics every single day. And certainly within the first 6 months, I wouldn't be focused too much on what's in the YouTube Studio, because early on, our job is to create, not to critique. And any feedback that I do get, I would try to look at it through the lens of curiosity versus self-criticism, because the less emotional weight you can attach to your numbers, the faster you'll grow. Next, I'd build a victory log, and every Friday I'd spend about 10 minutes updating the victory log from anything good that's happened in the week. So maybe I published my 10th video, or got just a little less awkward on camera, or maybe I got a really good comment from a viewer. Tracking your wins like this will help you see the progress that you'd otherwise forget, and it also protects you from the comparison trap. Because growth on YouTube isn't one giant leap, it is 1,000 tiny ones. And if you can learn to recognize and appreciate those small wins, you'll always have an ember of motivation to keep you going. Finally, I would stay ruthlessly focused on just one thing: making better videos. Not better branding or building out a business for an audience I don't even have yet, or messing around with fancy tools, AI gimmicks, or SEO hacks. Just stronger ideas, cleaner delivery, and content that people actually want to watch. Because when your content is good, everything else gets easier. You don't need to fuss over your tags or redo your banner for the 10th time or worry about the algorithm. Good content builds trust, it earns attention, and it unlocks all of the other opportunities on YouTube. So if I were starting over, I would tune out all of the noise, forget the gear upgrades, the fancy tools, the endless webinars and newsletters. None of it matters until you've learned how to capture and hold attention and deliver value on camera. And therein lies the real work on YouTube, when you focus there, not on the outcomes, but on the skill. Things like confidence, channel growth, monetization, all of that stuff starts to come in much more naturally and organically. Quality is what pulls people in, and consistency is what keeps them around. So if you can focus on that, everything else will take care of itself. Let's talk part 2, strategy. So if mindset mindset is what gets you staring down the pitcher from the batter's box, then strategy is what gets you on base and scoring runs. Now, if I were starting from scratch, I wouldn't waste any time trying to get everything mapped out up front because YouTube simply does not work that way. It is not a puzzle to be solved before you get started. It is a process that you build while you're in motion. And the goal is never to be perfect. It's simply to create a repeatable system that you can stick to, improve on, and grow with. First, I would study what's already working. I would find 10 creators in my niche whose content I really admire, and I would intentionally model what makes their videos work. I'd reverse engineer how they title their videos, how they open up with a strong hook, hold attention, and even their editing. Then I would recreate a few of their best performing videos, layering in my own voice and perspective. Now, in my real journey, I waited too long to do this. I just kept publishing videos without a clear North Star. But if I were starting over, I'd make the pivot earlier, right around the 3-month mark, from just pure quantity to more deliberate emulation. Now, this might feel unoriginal, and that's okay because originality is not the goal, it's fluency. Fluency comes from practice, from repetition, and from studying the right examples and internalizing what works. Second, I would hyper-focus on process over performance. So instead of stressing about views and growth, I'd build a workflow that I could repeat every single week. And this means batching literally everything from researching one day to script writing the next, even filming and editing would get batched. So one focus at a time, and not just because it's efficient, but because it keeps you in flow. Switching between tasks breaks momentum while batching builds rhythm. I'd keep my setup simple and ready. Same lighting, clean background, and no wasted energy resetting everything each time. The fewer decisions you make, the easier it is to stay consistent. And that consistency, that builds confidence, not from some viral moment, but from the quiet compounding progress that you make week after week. Third, I would stop treating writing like an afterthought because the best videos aren't made in the edit, they're written on the page. This is where you clarify your message, tighten your delivery, and find your deepest insights. Most beginners jot down a few bullet points, they press record, and then they try to tighten up the video in the edit. And I've done that for the longest time. And by all means, if this is you, and this is the path of least resistance to get some of those early reps in, have at it. But if I could start over, I would make that pivot a little bit earlier and take writing much more seriously from the beginning. I'd batch multiple scripts in a single sitting and make peace with the fact that not every script will be gold. But with each effort, I'd get better. Because writing helps you untangle what you really believe, and when you finally find the right words, you're effectively building a bridge to connect your audience to something deeper with you. Fourth, I'd commit to at least one video per week, no matter what, even if it's not perfect, even if I'm tired. I'd use batch days to try and stay 4 weeks ahead. That buffer would give me a ton of breathing room, and any additional videos I can produce, I would sprinkle those in as a second video for the week. Now, if the prospect of 2 long-form videos per week seems daunting to you, try to commit to at least one, but also experiment with shorts or live streams as a way to increase exposure. Consistency compounds, but you don't need to sprint. But what you do need is a rhythm that you can sustain without burning out. Finally, I would fast track my growth by learning from others. In my actual journey, I enrolled in courses, I joined communities, and I even got myself a coach. In looking back, all of those choices accelerated my growth way more than if I were to do it alone. I was no longer guessing. I was actually getting feedback from peers and mentors. And now I even run my own community, not because I have all the answers, but because I know what a huge unlock it is to be surrounded by like-minded people. Now, a coach will not do the work for you, but they will shrink your learning curve and they will keep you on track and focused on the right things. So if I could give you one piece of advice from this entire video is do not do YouTube alone. Try to find people to walk that path with you, even if it's just 1 or 2 people. Because strategy isn't about chasing whatever hacks there are at the moment. It is about creating an environment for yourself that gives you the best chance to grow. All right, let's talk part 3, tools. Now, when it comes to tools, it is so easy to overcomplicate things. And if I were starting over from scratch, I would keep it brutally simple. You do not need the fanciest camera or like a high-tech recording studio or editing software that's going to take you 6 months to master. You just need a few reliable things that you can lean on every single week. First, your recording setup. A smartphone, a decent mic, and some lighting, whether that's natural light or an LED, is more than enough to get you started. If you are well lit and people can hear you, you're going to be ahead of 90% of all the other creators out there that are stressing about gear. Now, for editing, I'd recommend something intuitive like CapCut for desktop. It's free, powerful enough for YouTube, and it's pretty easy to learn. Now, the goal at this stage is not to become some editing wizard. It's just to move through the process without stalling so that you can stay consistent. Now, for thumbnails, Canva is going to be your best friend. It is also free, very beginner friendly, and lets you save clean, repeatable designs that are going to save you time. Okay, so on the back end, I would still use Google Drive to house all of my documentation. So things like my content calendar, my victory log, my outlines and scripts. But this time around, I would be careful to not overly organize or over architect my systems. I'd create something minimally viable that's simple to use and easy to stick with. And all of that time that I spent in my actual journey tweaking and modifying all of these systems that I'd eventually outgrow, I would pour that back into making better videos. And to stay on track, I would do time blocking on my calendar, and I would actually set timers to make sure that I'm giving the requisite amount of time for each stage in the content creation process. This way, there's no guesswork about what I should be working on and when, and I'm getting everything done on time. All right, so to grow smarter and not harder, I would lean on the YouTube Studio, but very selectively and very sparingly. So after every 5 video uploads or so, I would really just check on 2 things. 1, how is my 30-second retention doing? And 2, how is my click-through rate doing? That's it. No obsessing, no constant refreshing. Retention tells you how strong your hook is, and the click-through rate tells you how strong your packaging is. These are 2 of the highest ROI things to get right early on, so check it, adjust it, and move on. For creative inspiration, I would lean on tools like CreatorHooks Pro and vidIQ. CreatorHooks breaks down title formulas that actually work, and vidIQ's outlier score will show you what's performing within your niche, so that you can double down on what actually works. Both are free to start, and they do have a paid version as well, but they would definitely be included in my creative process from day one. And then finally, the brains behind it all, ChatGPT. Now, obviously, we do not want to use ChatGPT to write full-on scripts, but it could be used as like a second brain, a creative business partner, if you will. I'd use it to build video outlines, pressure test different hooks, brainstorm titles, and get brutally honest feedback on rough ideas. I would use it to help me find blind spots, tighten up my thinking, and then move through my creation workflow faster. But having said all that, here's the truth. All of these tools, these do not build momentum for you. It's your systems that build the momentum. These tools are simply here to augment your systems to make them a little bit easier to work through, and hopefully to not slow you down. So if your smartphone, your mic, your calendar, and your video editor are all set up and ready to go, you have the foundation that you need to get started. Everything else just comes down to showing up. All right, so you know the mindset, you've seen the strategy, and you know all of the tools that I would use if I were starting over from scratch today. Now the journey begins. One video, one step, and one tiny victory at a time. Remember, there is no perfect plan, only forward motion. And don't wait until things seem easy to start. Start despite the fact that they are challenging. Make adjustments on the fly and build something that you're proud of. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll talk to you in the next one.